Okay, you guys, so my last video about whether Jinu is actually dead got such an incredible response, and the comment section has me even more convinced that Netflix needs to announce a sequel, like, yesterday, because everyone is demanding his return. And you know what? After diving deeper into all the clues the filmmakers left scattered throughout this movie, I think I figured out exactly how they're planning to bring him back. Today, we're going full conspiracy theory mode as I break down the 5 most likely ways Jinu could return in a K-pop Demon Hunters sequel. And some of these possibilities have me more excited than I was for the original movie. Let's dive into the evidence because these theories are about to change how you see that ending. The first and most obvious way Jinu could return is through spiritual manifestation. And here's why this theory makes perfect sense. As I explained in my last video, when Jinu sacrificed himself, his soul didn't just disappear into nothing, it literally merged with Rumi's powers and became part of the blue Hanmoon barrier. So imagine this scenario. Rumi's facing a new crisis in the sequel, maybe struggling with her demon powers or dealing with guilt over his sacrifice, and suddenly, Jinu appears to her as a spirit guide. Think about how powerful that would be emotionally, especially if he can only manifest when she's in serious danger or when their spiritual connection is strongest. The filmmakers already established that souls have tangible power in this universe, so having his spirit occasionally appear to help her makes total narrative sense. Plus, it would give us those emotional reunion moments fans are craving while maintaining the tragedy of his sacrifice. But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is the theory that has me most excited. Remember how 2 members of the Saja Boys, Romance and Baby, mysteriously survived the final battle and just vanished? Yeah, that wasn't an accident. I think the sequel is going to revolve around these surviving demons attempting to resurrect Jinu, but not out of loyalty or friendship. Here's what I think is happening. They need their leader back to reform the Saja Boys and challenge Huntrix again, but the resurrection process goes wrong and brings back a version of Jinu who's caught between his human soul and demon nature. Imagine the conflict this creates for Rumi, who would have to face the person she loved, but in a twisted, incomplete form that's not quite the Jinu she knew. This scenario gives us the action-packed demon conflict the sequel needs while exploring the psychological horror of resurrection gone wrong. And we cannot ignore the Gui Ma factor, because that guy is definitely not finished with his schemes. The Demon King wasn't killed in the final battle. He was banished, which means he's out there, in the demon realm, probably plotting his comeback. Here's the theory that gave me chills. What if Guimar can't actually bring Jinu back since his sacrifice freed him completely from demonic control, but he creates a perfect imposter instead? Picture this. Rumi encounters what appears to be the real Jinu, complete with all his memories and personality, but it's actually Guima's psychological weapon designed to exploit her grief. This fake Jinu would tell her that he found a way to escape the afterlife and return to her, but slowly starts pushing her toward darker choices that would weaken the blue Hanmoon. The brilliant part is that Rumi would have to figure out whether this is really her Jinu or an elaborate manipulation, and the only way to tell might be through emotional connections that the real Jinu's sacrifice made impossible. This creates the ultimate psychological horror because she'd be forced to reject someone who might actually be the person she lost, while Guima gets to weaponize her love against everything Jinu died to protect. But you know what really has me convinced there's more to Jinu's story? His 400-year backstory was barely scratched in the original film, and that feels like a massive setup for prequel content that ties into his return. I think we're going to get flashbacks showing his original human life, how he made the deal with Guima, and what exactly happened during those centuries of psychological torture. But here's the twist. What if these flashbacks reveal that Jinu had tried to escape Guima's control before, maybe even succeeded temporarily, and that experience is what allows his spirit to maintain independence even after death? This would explain how he can appear to Rumi without being under demonic influence, and it sets up a storyline where his past holds the key to permanently defeating Guima. Plus, exploring his backstory gives us the emotional depth that would make his return feel earned rather than just fan service. Here's the wildest theory, though, and it's so crazy it might just work. What if the blue hung moon being imperfect isn't a flaw, but a feature? The filmmakers made a point of showing us that this barrier is different from the golden one they originally wanted, and I think that's because it allows for moral complexity rather than absolute separation. So here's my prediction. The sequel reveals that the blue hung moon can actually rehabilitate demons rather than just banishing them, and Jinu becomes the first test case. His spirit, already purified through love and sacrifice, could be given a new physical form through the barrier's power, but only if he proves he can resist demonic influence permanently. This would create a redemption storyline where Jinu has to earn his second chance while helping other demons find their humanity, essentially becoming a bridge between the human and demon worlds. And you know what? All of these theories work because they address the core themes the first movie established about identity, shame, and acceptance. Jinu's return, in whatever form it takes, needs to continue his character growth while creating new challenges for Rumi and the rest of Huntrix. Whether he comes back as a spirit guide, a resurrected demon struggling with his nature, a pawn in Guima's schemes, or something entirely new, his presence would force everyone to confront questions about forgiveness, second chances, and what it really means to change. The filmmakers created such a rich world with complex rules about souls, demons, and magic that pretty much any of these scenarios could work within the established mythology.
What I'm most excited about is that Netflix clearly has the audience demand to justify a sequel. And they'd be crazy not to capitalize on how invested people are in these characters. The hashtag #WeNeedSequel campaign shows that fans aren't just passively interested, they're actively demanding more content. And Jinu's potential return is clearly a huge part of that excitement. So let me know in the comments which of these theories you think is most likely. Or if you've got your own ideas, are you team spiritual manifestation, team resurrection gone wrong, team Guima manipulation? Or do you think the filmmakers have something completely different planned? And if you're as obsessed with this potential sequel as I am, hit that subscribe button because I'm definitely planning more K-pop Demon Hunters theory videos, and I want to hear all your wildest predictions about what comes next.